Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bikes for Death podcast. As always, my name is Patrick, and I'm your host. And on today's episode, Shane Hitz joins me all the way from Wisconsin, and we are going to be talking all things gravel riding and bikepacking in Wisconsin today. Shane is the guy in Wisconsin. If you want to go to Wisconsin and ride your bike, you probably want to hit up Shane and ask him for some route ideas. Actually, there's a lot of great people in Wisconsin. We know that. But Shane was nice enough to join me on the podcast today. We're going to be talking about Wisconsin. We're going to be talking about some routes that he has made, the Tour de Nicola, which is a great bikepacking route. And he has a new Waterfall bikepacking route that's coming out. And he is also the race director for the Red Granite Grinder. That's a race that's put on by Ironbull. I am going to be there this year, so I was excited to learn more about Wisconsin, learn more about the race, and we are going to be talking more about all of that in today's episode. But real quick, if you want to meet me there and come say hi and stretch your legs at the Red Granite Grinder. You can find registration details in the show notes. The race is on October 15th in Wausau, Wisconsin, and they have routes for everybody, starting with a 12-mile, a 50-mile, 85, and the 144-mile option. What makes these routes cool is that Shane has put in a lot of work getting access to private land that you cannot ride any other time unless you come and do this race. So anyway, we will be talking about that more on today's episode. Before we get into it, let me tell you about another event that's coming up. This one is by Bikes for Death. It's called the Bikes for Death Takeover. And this is the first time we've done it. And we are going to be taking over Mulberry Gap in Ellijay, Georgia. This November 10th through the 13th, you do not want to miss it. This is a community over competition event. Everybody is welcome. And I got Kate Gates here today to help me share with you some more details about this exciting event. I think it is very much worth mentioning that this was your idea. You were the one that brought this to my table and I latched onto it. So what is the Bikes for Death Takeover? I mean, it was your idea.
Well, we're going to see, but the goal is that it's going to be a really fun time with, your community and listeners and followers coming together underneath one roof and coming to explore the North Georgia mountains and see what Mulberry Gap is all about. I know that we've been partnering with you as a sponsor for a couple of months now, and it's really easy to hear about a place, but to experience it and see it firsthand really is when things sink in and you really make that connection to this area and to the people. So yeah, I know you and I chatted back and forth about it for a couple of months about just having some sort of gathering at Mulberry Gap. And the more I thought about it, the more I just had more and more ideas, I guess, that came to me in terms of like a vision on what it could be and its potential. So I pitched a bad idea to you and you were on board, which I love. And so, yeah, we're doing this thing.
I don't think it was a bad idea. We can't sell this as a bad idea or nobody's going to come. This is a great idea. And
but bikepackers love bad ideas, Patrick. This is what we do. We sign up for events and they're always fun, right? They always end up being fun.
This one is going to be fun. And I think what you said, I mean, what really attracts me to this idea is taking... What's important for me has been figuring out ways to take, an online community, listeners of the podcast, people that I DM on Instagram and we like all each other's stuff or whatever. But how can we create an event that builds that community in the real world, especially after a pandemic when everybody's been locked up? And, these are things that I want to do with Bikes for Death. I want to keep finding ways to get people into bikepacking outside riding their bikes and in a non-competitive environment, I think is always something that's welcome. And I think that's one of our goals for this event is to make it really easy and accessible for anybody, whether you're a beginner or an advanced rider. Hopefully my hope is that we can put together an event that appeals and attracts to a wide variety of people, whether you're just getting into bikepacking or whether you've been doing it a long time. I really think that we want to emphasize is that this is about the community and everybody is welcome. And we are looking forward to seeing everyone that can make it. All right, well, that is just a taste of what we'll be doing this November at Mulberry Gap. For all the details, you can check the show notes, and the rest of my conversation with Kate will be aired at the end of today's episode. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stick around and check that out. And we hope to see you at the first ever Bikes or Death Takeover. Before we get into today's episode, let's take a few minutes to thank the people that made it possible, starting with our latest batch of patrons. This week, we have Vako Vedic and Kevin Schaefer. Thank you guys so much for signing up to be sustaining members of the Bikes or Death podcast. And if you have been thinking about signing up to support the podcast, now may be the best time to do it. Thanks to my friends over at Jefe Velo, they are going to be matching new Patreon contributions. So if you pledge $10 for the year, Jefe Velo is going to make it 20. If you pledge 100, Jefe Velo is going to make it 200. So this is a great time to sign up because you will be doubling your impact, and that is very much appreciated over here in the podcasting studios. To find out more, head over to patreon.com/bikes or death. No code or anything, just sign up and Jefe Velo will match your contribution. Thank you, Jefe Velo. Today's episode is also brought to us by a new advertising partner, Pashir Handlebars. You've tried aluminum, you've tried carbon, you've tried steel, but have you ever tried bamboo handlebars? I have. They sent me a pair, and like many of you, you're probably having a question mark. Bamboo handlebars. Is it safe? Does it work? Is it functional? I've been using them for a few months now, and yes, they are safe, they are functional, they are stylish, and they are comfortable. Now, originally I put them on my Chumba Stella tie, and I took them out to some single track and put them through their paces. And they don't necessarily recommend them for hardcore downhill mountain biking or single track. But of course, I had to go test them out, and they passed my test with flying colors. Since then, they've migrated their way over to the tandem. And where these bars really shine is in comfort. They do have a little bit of flex. It's intentional. These bars were designed to be for long days in the saddle on the bike. And if you're like me and you suffer from hand and wrist pain, these bars go a long way to take out the vibrations of the road or the gravel, whatever the terrain is you're riding, and provide a super comfortable ride. I believe that is their shining quality. It's the thing that I love about them the most. They come in a variety of colors. You can get the original bamboo look, but you can also get them in a wide variety of colors. So if you want to get in on the hype, you want to find out what this is all about, you can head over to pashir.co.nz. And if you find a set of bars that you like, use the code PASHIR or DEATH at checkout to save 10% off your order. Too much to remember or don't know how to spell Pashir? That's fine. Just check the show notes either on the device you're listening on or on our website, and we'll have links to all of this for you. Now, today's episode is also brought to us by Kuat Racks. You know Kuat by now. They absolutely make the best bike rack on the market. I've been loving mine. The thing is about Kuat is that they have a plethora of racks, from entry level to the most advanced rack on the market. And they have snow racks and kayak racks and all the racks that you could ever need. They also have the no worries warranty. I've been using their no worries warranty because I've accidentally lost my keys to my lock before. I've had to cut my lock and get my bike free. And Kuat was great about getting me a new lock assembly sent in the mail with no questions asked, no delay, no cost to me. And they don't just do it for me because I'm a influencer. They do it for everybody. That's because Kuat has your rack and your back. All right, everybody, bills are paid. Now it is time to get into today's episode with Shane Hitz. But before we do, let's have Miles Arbor kick it off with the Bikes or Death theme song.
You load up your bike, you ride away from home. You could be with your friends or you could be alone. You ride for a day or maybe more. You just love being in the great outdoors. Everything you need is strapped to your bars, including that new pillow you got from Santa Claus. And then you think, oh shit, to yourself. You left that super lightweight tent on the living room shelf. Bikes. Oh, death. Bikes. Oh, death. Podcast.
Shane Hitz, welcome to the podcast. Are you ready to talk all things Wisconsin bike riding, gravel riding, and bikepacking?
Yes, I sure am.
You are the man, right? You were on the front
Yeah.
of the magazine, so
Yep,
I got the right guy, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on to chat. It is relevant to today's episode because we are going to be talking a lot about bikepacking in Wisconsin. Where do you live, and are you from the area?
I live in Wausau, Wisconsin. So that's like pretty much right in the middle of the state. And so I grew up maybe like 20 miles from here. And I lived here my whole life.
And this is a rural area or pretty well developed?
It's pretty rural. Wausau's kind of, I don't know. I think we have like 38,000 people. So it's not too big of a city.
Yeah, I'd call that small.
Yeah, and then where I'm from, it's really small. Our graduating class was only 100 people.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. So a nice, not a huge community, but honestly, if you're talking about wanting to get away and go ride your bikes, that's usually kind of what you look for.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're on the factory floor. What do you do for work?
I build doors, so they're big folding doors. They kind of open up to make like your living indoor and outdoor. So we go up to like 36 feet, I think is the biggest one I see. So if you want to like, in relative to something, if you want to picture something relative to that, it would be like a semi-trailer's 55 foot. So the door takes up almost the length of a semi-trailer.
Oh wow, I'm imagining the houses that these are attached to are usually pretty nice.
Yeah, we're high end. Yeah.
So are you like a machinist or an engineer or?
No, I just build the doors on the
You
floor,
build
on the
them.
factory floor. Yeah.
Man. It's probably, is that a great workout?
Yeah, it is. It is. It actually probably keeps me in pretty good shape to bike.
I was just talking to Anna Jager on the podcast, and she did carpentry work before her Tour Divide run, and she was giving it some credit for her physical, just staying active with your job on a daily basis has to be a good thing.
Yeah. I think the hardest part about that job is like standing on the cement for, hours on end, and that, your muscles get really tight.
Well, that's probably more reason to be on a bike because you get to sit down and you're now moving your legs, and you're like doing the exact opposite. You're working out your legs rather than your arms and just standing there. So
right. So after work, a bike ride feels really good.
Yeah, I can imagine. So other than your job making these, actually, I'd like one of those in my house. I think I could use one of those. So if you could figure out a way to sponsor the podcast with one, that'd be pretty cool. But besides, when you're not doing that, you're very, very active in the cycling community, especially locally. Can you kind of give us like an elevator pitch on what you do outside of work specifically for the cycling industry and bikepacking?
Okay, so I'm a race director for the Ironbull Red Granite Grinder. That's kind of a lot. That takes up a lot of my time with setting up the event, scouting out the course, and all that goes involved into that. The other things that I do is I do a lot of bike packing, and I scout out a lot of land to find perfect places to bike pack. We have national forests really close to us, so it's pretty easy for me to just jump in the car, drive half hour to an hour from my house, and be really out in the national forest and the remote stuff, finding good stuff. And set up a lot of routes, build a lot of routes, and I have a website with those routes on it. It's Shane Hitz Adventures at WordPress.com. And so that's kind of where I keep all my routes together that I really like. Otherwise, it's kind of hard for people to look on Ride with GPS. Did he ride this route or did he not?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your personal motivation to be so involved with bikepacking, putting on? I mean, you could just go ride. You don't have to do routes. You don't have to be a race director. You know, what's your motivation there behind doing all that extra stuff?
I really want to get people to know that Wisconsin is a great place to ride gravel, ride anything off pavement, and I think it's overlooked compared to a lot of the places out west. I think a lot of the places out west get a lot of hype because of, you know, you have the mountains or you have the desert, and it's so remote out there that a lot of people don't experience that type of event very often, or that type of environment very often. But the same goes for up here. It gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, it's so funny. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you I'm a Texan. Texas is not a destination that a lot of people may think of when you're talking about outdoor recreation, bikepacking. I was wondering if you felt like Wisconsin also gets overlooked.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, sell us on Wisconsin real quick. Like, why are you so passionate about Wisconsin? I mean, obviously you're from there, but that means you know it. What is great? What are we missing?
Well, we have tons of lakes and rivers. Lakes and rivers are everywhere. Millions of years ago, the glacier came through here, and we have the Ice Age Trail. And the Ice Age Trail highlights how the glacier went through here. And when that happened, I'm not like an expert on this, so I may be wrong on what I'm saying a little bit, but
it's all right. You're here for the bikes anyway.
Right. So the glacier carved out a lot of our landscape here, creating dells and gorges. And every melting period that happened with the glacier, it happened like 100,000 years at a time. So it'd be like it would freeze, you'd have ice age, and then it would warm up to about the temperature it is now. And during that warm up lasted like 100,000 years, and the water ran off of that glacier in torrential amounts. So it created gorges, and that's one of the unique features of our landscape up here. We don't have like mountains, but we have a lot of hills, and so those things combined make it a really unique place to go to ride your bike through. And then we have a lot of land that's set aside as national park. We have the Nicola National Forest and the Chequamegon National Forest. Both of those pieces of land, one's on the east side and one's on the west side of the state, about an hour and a half apart. They take up 1.5 million acres. And from Wausau, so I can get into the Nicola from Wausau at about an hour drive. And even closer than that is the Lincoln County Forest and the Langland County Forest. That's less than a half hour drive for me to get to it, so it's easy just to bike from here to it. And the roads around Wausau there's a lot of gravel, and you don't have to go very far outside of town to get to that gravel. So I usually connect those gravel roads to the county forest and then to the national forest. So I can be on a lot of public land really quick. Yeah.
Now, when you're, promoting your state, are you promoting it also to, Wisconsin's, or how do you say that? Wisconsinites? Wisconsinites?
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, is that the right way to say that? I've never said that before. Wisconsinites.
Cheeseheads?
Yeah. Cheeseheads. Are you? I mean, do you have a really vibrant cycling and bikepacking community? Is that already there and in place for you, and people are really latching onto it, or where are y'all at in terms of like building your local community?
Well, in our local community, we have a ton of opportunities for outdoor recreation. So just in the Wausau area for outdoor, type stuff going on. We have the mountain bike trails, so we have like five different trail systems just ran by Seawalk. Seawalk is our mountain bike organization, Central Wisconsin Off-Road Cycling Coalition, and they have 9 Mile County Forest, which is 12 miles of trails. Big Old Plain is another 12 miles of trails plus 8 miles of single track, and Underdown is 30 plus miles of old school single track. Ringgold Trails is our newest system, and it has 11 miles of single track. And then Sylvan Downhill Park, that was recently built. And all those mountain bike trails are really popular around here. And then along with that, we have the gravel riding, and then we have downhill skiing. We have Rib Mountain State Park that has downhill skiing, and they make their own snow, so they're usually open on Thanksgiving weekend all the way through about into April sometime for sure. And then we have Whitewater Kayak downtown, endless kayaking because we have a river, Wisconsin River runs right through Wausau. And then, like I said before, the Ice Age Trail.
Yeah. Wow. And you're finding that the community is embracing, and, you know, it's kind of a if you build it, they will come type of thing, and really getting involved.
Yeah. No, I see a lot of out-of-state plates come here, especially for the downhill skiing and the whitewater kayaking. But I'm kind of want to grow the biking community a lot more. So that's my spot in this world.
Hopefully we can do that. Yeah. So what about yourself personally? Like when did you get into cycling, and how did that come into your life?
Well, I was into cycling, you know, as a kid with the BMX, you know, Huffy bike, stuff like that, and doing jumps, reckless, like any other kid growing up in the 80s.
I was going to say kids in the 80s, man.
Right. So then I got my first mountain bike was probably like, I think it was probably a 2.25 inch tire. And I got that on Christmas, and we have groomed snowmobile trails everywhere around here. And as soon as I was on Christmas break, I'm out it's kind of fat biking, but fat biking wasn't invented yet. And I'm out riding the snowmobile trails all the time, you know. And then as I got older, when I got my license, then I kind of strayed away from cycling for a while. And I got into snowmobiling a little bit. And then once my kids got older, probably 2012, then I started biking, and I bought like a decent mountain bike, started riding the mountain bike trails. And then I saw Tour Divide film. I think most people probably get into bikepacking just from seeing that film.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Ride the Divide, I should say.
Yeah.
Then,
yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then, so I wanted to get into bikepacking really badly. And then in 2017, I bought a good bikepacking bike, Surly Ogre, and I signed up for the Tour de Schwamagon. Dave Schlabowski puts that on. He's a really big name in bikepacking in our state. He has if you've seen it on bikepacking.com, one of the newest rides up there is the Wisconsin Waterfall Loop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up while we're talking. I didn't know. I know. We're going to talk more about that, but I didn't know it was already on bikepacking.com. That's awesome.
Yeah. Tour de Schwamagon has been on there for quite a while. So Dave organizes the Tour de Schwamagon, and you have to pay for that event. And I was willing to pay to learn more about bikepacking, and it was a great experience because all the people that were on that trip, it was a mix of people. It was a mix of some that have done it for a little bit, some that have never done it before, and then just like myself. But I did actually go out on one ride by myself before that trip because I was really nervous. I didn't know what to expect. So I'm like, I don't want to be this newbie here showing up and not even knowing what's going on, which, you know, isn't the case at all. The bikepacking community is amazing. They welcome you in. And so yeah, Dave was instrumental in bringing me into the bikepacking world. So he's one of my good friends to this day.
If I did the math correctly, you would have picked cycling back up about the age of 36. What happened? Why at age 36 did you pick cycling back up?
I got really unhealthy actually for a while, and I started running, and because I have high blood pressure, I was actually on high blood pressure medicine, and my health was kind of bad, looking back at it. And I lost 50 pounds by starting to run and then starting to cycle. And now I am at that level for a lot of years now, at least 8 or 10 years.
That's amazing. Did you change your diet as well, or did you just do it primarily through exercise?
I changed my diet for the longest time. I was eating really healthy, and then now I cycle so much that I can kind of eat whatever I want.
That's one of the benefits of riding a lot is get to, But, if you're living a more sedentary life and you don't have the time to get in big miles and stuff, I found as you get older, you definitely have to kick that diet in too, because you can't always keep up, I've found.
Yeah, because every time I get injured, it's if I have to sit for a while, then I have to completely change my diet and make sure I'm eating the right stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love to hear when people use, anything to just live a healthier lifestyle, but it's not uncommon where cycling and running seem to be two that people really get into. And then I'd be curious if you're still a runner, because most people eventually transition just to cycling, mostly due to injuries.
No, I am not. When I started this living better, I was actually going to the gym because it was winter. So I didn't have a decent bike back then. That was probably around 2008 or so that I started eating better.
Okay. So speaking of Wisconsin being a great place, your area in particular, to go bikepacking, you have all the public land, you have the gravel roads, you have the waterfalls. It sounds idyllic. Are there any challenges? What would you say are some challenges to riding and specifically bikepacking in that area?
The weather for sure, because it rains here quite a bit. So then the roads turn a little soft, and you got to kind of prepare for that. You don't want to have a too skinny of a tire bike. My tires are 2.5 that I run all the time on my bikepacking bike. And then I do have a fat bike also that I use because we do have a lot of sandy areas of the state. So it's not uncommon to get, if you go bikepacking either in Bayfield County, way up to the top, or in Marinette County off to the east, you can go 100 miles of sand easy.
Okay. And let's say, oftentimes you're building routes because that seems like what you do, or it seems like a lot of your riding might be around doing things for the community and the cycling community at large. But if you can plan your perfect ride or bikepacking trip in your area, what is your personal favorite type of riding to do? What gets you really excited to go and explore your backyard?
So when I build a route, it's got to have each day off the road where there's no cars. So each day has to have some stuff that's off the road. So even no ATVs, stuff like that. So it's long grass through the water on the single track. River crossings are the best. You can find a river crossing that's amazing. So.
What do you love about? Because is that a barrier for cars? Is that what you love about it, or?
I don't know. It's just fun carrying your bike across the river, going that extra distance.
So if you're planning if you're going to go on a ride, I know you're quite a bit of a planner, but it sounds like you also like to kind of explore and get lost a little bit. What is your approach in that way? Do you plan a lot, or do you like to go get lost?
I like to get lost. I'll throw down the road on Ride with GPS for sure before I go out and ride it. But a lot of people know that some of those roads don't really exist, or they're super old or whatever, because I'll look at every different map layer there is when I'm throwing a route together, especially, if it's over 100 miles, for sure I'm going to do a lot of planning into that, because I don't want to come to barriers, which you do sometimes. You come to private land or whatever. I mean, the road looks like it goes through on the map, but then it's private land. And so, yeah. I do a lot of exploring, carrying the bike over trees and stuff like that, but I'm not going to set up a route like that and put it out to the public and say, here you go, good luck.
Oh, no. That's why you're the ground truther. You get to go out there and pioneer it. And yeah, whenever you give it to us, it's already good. You already went through the kinks. That's why we need local people, boots on the ground, to find the best areas, find the best routes. You mentioned cars. That's obviously on a lot of people's radars when they're picking routes and places they want to go ride. How hard is it to get away from cars? Is that a big issue, or is it pretty easy to put together those routes and not really have to deal with traffic too much?
I can put together a route and not have to deal with traffic very much. I can go probably a whole day with seeing maybe a dozen cars and ATVs combined. Yeah. But when I say I want to get to places where cars can't go, I really just want to get to places where cars can't go, because of the challenge, because it's unique, because it takes people to places that, like, if I'm going to go out and ride that route in a car, that's easy. Anybody can do that. But then you get to a place where you can't go with a car. Hardly anybody gets to see that stuff. And for example, on the Marinette County Waterfall loop that I have on my website, I actually found a waterfall that's not named, and the only way I found it was like a satellite image. I could see something. I'm like, I gotta go check that out. So there's this really long grass 2-track. There's cars that go back there. Maybe they're hunting back there. I don't know what they're doing, but they don't go back there very often. So it's pretty grown up. Then you get to the end of that. It's like a lollipop where the cars turn around. And then, so I set the marker out on Ride with GPS, and then I use my Garmin to walk to that, walk through the bushwhack to that spot, to that marker. And I see like these super old ribbons tied to the tree. I'm like, oh, it's got to be the right way. So going in further, find it, and amazing waterfall. Rocks are all covered in moss. Looks like no one's been there in years. And that's an amazing find.
You got to send me a picture. We'll put it up on the website when we post this episode. That'll be cool.
Okay.
The unnamed and just discovered waterfall by Shane Hitz. So
Yeah.
You get to name it, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, we need to talk to the authorities. I wonder, even on, I don't know how Google Map works too much, but I wonder if you could just like right click, edit name or something, or add it. I bet you could submit it to Google somehow.
But, I don't want all these people knowing about it except for bikepackers. That's the only people I want knowing about it.
That's true. So well, then that makes it way simpler. You just get to name it. We'll all adopt it and accept it as is. So
yeah, it's only named on Ride with GPS. That's the only place.
What is it named right now?
I didn't even name it. I didn't think of anything to name it yet.
Oh,
I'll have to think on that.
I'll sponsor. We'll call it the Bikes for Death Waterfall. I'm kidding. I think you should. I do think you should think of a name, though. I think that's pretty awesome.
I never thought of that. I might have to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I like names. What about my friend Brett Stepanek? He's around your parts, isn't he?
Yeah, but I've actually never met him.
No?
So I need to meet him sometime, and he needs to come to my race. Brett, come to the Red Granite Grinder.
Come on, Brett. What are you doing? I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
we'll call Brett and see what we can do. Yeah, I don't know a lot of other bike packers from Wisconsin. I know.
Alexandra Houchen is.
Oh, Houchen is from. Yeah, I forgot that she's from there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And also, Embark Maple. What's his name?
Yeah. They're from
Eric.
Stevens. They're from pretty close here, Stevens Point or something.
Yeah. I want to, they just seem like great people. Do you know him?
No, I don't, but he actually contacted me. Actually, I think it was this morning. He wants to know what route he should ride because he's got 5 days.
Oh, sweet. So you're the guy. You're known.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think he was mentioning he might be at the Red Granite Grinder.
He is a sponsor this year at the Red Granite Grinder. So Ruby
cool.
Coffee is a sponsor.
Oh, and Ruby Coffee too.
Yeah.
And wow, look at that. Wisconsin's showing up. So you're getting a lot of good support, and there is some really neat community activity going on there, which is obviously super exciting.
Yeah, I didn't mean Eric contacted me. I meant I forget his name from Ruby Coffee contacted me.
Oh, Jared?
Yeah. I don't know if that's who it was. I don't know. Someone contacted me from Ruby Coffee. I don't. There's actually a lot of people that contact me about routes. So.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
That's a good thing. I like when people talk to me about it. I like to hear how their experience was. So
right. So are you making custom routes for people, or are you just mostly kind of promoting the routes that are already out there?
Mostly promoting the routes that are kind of out there, but people do ask me to make a custom route for them once in a while.
Yeah. Well, this is perfect. I wanted to talk about some of the routes that you've developed. So let's get into that because it sounds like there's obviously a lot of interest in riding in that area. So hopefully a lot of people can benefit from us talking about it a little bit. The first one I was thinking about is the Tour de Nicola. Is that how you say that?
That's how you say it. So it's French. Yeah, Nicola is French.
Nicola, I got it right. That doesn't happen often. So, I mean, you were, just for context here, you were kind enough to invite me out to a group bikepacking trip that you do every year. Unfortunately, that was the weekend that the end of the Tour Divide was happening, and I had to make the hard decision to go out to the Tour Divide, which was a bummer.
That's pretty awesome thing to get to do.
It's all good stuff, right? It's all good stuff. So I'm choosing between two good things. What did I miss, man? How was it? Did y'all have a good time?
It was amazing. Yeah. I did find a new waterfall that no one knew about. That one does. I don't know if that one is the name or not, but I did find another waterfall, and I put that one on the 2022 route. Every year the Tour de Nicola is different, so I have all my different versions on my website. 2021 I liked the best. The 2022 had the waterfall on it, and that was probably everybody's favorite. One person did get a little sick on. I don't know if he ate something wrong or what. He ended up dropping out, but other than that, it was a really good time.
Oh, nice. Weather held up for y'all?
It was amazing this year, the weather, because we're in a little bit of a drought, which is unfortunate, but that made riding a little easier because we had no rain.
What about the ticks, the mosquitoes?
The mosquitoes weren't that bad this year. I think this was probably one of the better years for mosquitoes, and the ticks were probably average.
Ticks were average.
Yeah, average. When if you're riding one of my routes and you have to go through a ski trail that I throw on there, and the one ski trail comes to mind from my Pickerel Buck 40. That route, that's a gravel route, and ski trails on there, and I create Strava segments too, which I find humorous to do. The one Strava segment through there is I call dibs on the ticks because you come out of there at least with a half dozen of them.
Oh my gosh!
But right now, this time of the year, they're kind of dying out.
Yeah. So what is the best way to mitigate ticks, mosquitoes, or are you just checking yourself at the end of every night? Like what are the tips for people who are coming in out of state and aren't used to dealing with ticks and mosquitoes at that level?
Well, ticks I don't really care about because you can just pick them off at the end of the night.
Yeah, but if you don't, they'll give you Lyme disease, right?
Yeah. So I think DEET would probably be a good way to stop that from happening because you need DEET anyways anytime you're stopped with mosquitoes, and This year, I think like the biggest thing was the black flies. Nothing stopped the black flies that I found.
Oh my God. What are black flies?
Like
That's new?
deer flies? I don't know
okay.
what you call
deer. Yeah, yeah. They're like, are they the big biting flies?
They have big ones, but the little ones are the worst, I think.
Okay. We have horse flies.
Yeah, horse flies.
That are huge.
Yeah, the horse flies are huge.
They attack you. They will follow and attack you. They're just mean.
Yeah, and we found we talk about this a lot too, and when we're riding in groups, and we found that they can travel. I think we figured 16 miles an hour. And if you go faster than that, you're okay. But bikepacking, you're not going that fast.
Yeah, there's definitely some horse flies on the East Texas Showdown here in Texas. So, you're either going downhill or you might get being bit by those. So, yeah, just part of the Type 2 fun, huh?
Yep.
Well, why don't you give an overview of Tour de Nicola? How would you describe the route?
Okay, I would describe the route as let's see. I'll pull it up here really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's 75% gravel from when I figured it out last time. I know Ride with GPS doesn't always get those gravel roads in there correctly. The one thing that I really like to find on a road is the best eating places. So all my routes have the best eating places labeled, burger stands and stuff like that. But Tour de Nicola it starts out in gravel, kind of 2-track, and then we have some railroad bed in there. Gets into single track in the first 50 miles for sure. You're in single track, Nicola Rocher single track. That's amazing stuff. There's huge boulders in there. And then dispersed campsites everywhere. Dispersed campsites are some of my favorite things too, because camping where there's not any people, where you don't see any people, amazing stuff.
Yeah. And how many miles overall is it?
Let's see.
I know it changes every year, but yeah.
Yeah, 2021 was 333. 2021 is probably my favorite route. If I had to give someone one of the routes and say you should do this one, 2021 would be it.
Okay. And it was how many miles?
333.
And when you do this, as a group, what are you recommending on, or people? I mean, obviously someone like that, you're just going to kind of tell your fitness level and stuff, but whenever you ride it with your group, how do y'all usually break that down?
How many miles you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing
how many days, how many miles? Yeah.
We're doing about 70 a day, and then we'll do that 5 days, the 333.
Yeah. So really manageable.
Yeah, it's not really hard stuff to do, but there's hard stuff throughout. It's not like you have all miles and miles of hard stuff. There is one really sandy section. If you bring tires measured in millimeters, you're for sure going to be walking some of that. But I can ride all of it on the 2.5 inch.
So what's your difficulty rating for the route?
I would say 3-4. It's
okay.
It's not that difficult.
What's your beauty rating?
Oh, it's really good. I mean, because you're in the green. If you go in June, July, August, September, you're in green the entire time. And if you go in the fall, then you hit those peak fall colors. That's amazing. And the trees canopy a lot of the roads, so it's just amazing. So it's up there like 7-8. There isn't the waterfalls on it, but there's a lot of rivers and a lot of lakes.
Yeah. What was your, you didn't just make the route out of nowhere. What was your goal or motivation behind creating the Tour de Nicola?
It started out way back. That's the first area I rode before I went on Tour de Schlamagan, when I didn't want to feel like some weirdo, didn't know anything about bikepacking. So I started out up north. My wife dropped me off up north, and then I rode south on it. And I only did 2 or 3 days, and I thought it was amazing. I've never biked in it. I was never biking in it before. And back then I didn't have any kind of device, like navigation device. So I was using paper. I was using like Post-it cards or something. And I had all my directions written down on Post-it cards. But the problem is there's a lot of those roads don't have road names or their forest number, whatever. And so I did use my phone, I remember, to navigate my way through. But so my initial time through there was, I thought it was so amazing that I had to keep going back there and create something new and create something newer. And the second year, I think it was the second year that I did it, I did get one other person to do it with me. And back then, a lot of my friends didn't know anything about bike packing. So I was the first one really of my friend group that did bike packing. Other than Chris Schatz, he's really older. Like he's written a lot of stuff before, but that was back when it was panniers, so it was bike touring. But he did the stuff off road with panniers way back in the 80s or 90s.
When was the first year of the Tour de Nicola?
2017 was the first time I did it by myself. So
we're on probably iteration 5 with COVID.
Yeah, iteration 5. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You've done it 5 times. I assume people are liking it. They keep coming back. You're going to get feedback.
Yep. And I get a few new ones every year. And I think I get a lot of the same people back, but once in a while there's a new person that'll ask, "Can I go on it with you?" And usually, that's as long as they're willing to do what I throw at them. So,
and not talk about religion or politics. Those are the only rules.
Yeah, right.
Which I think is a great rule.
It is, really.
There's a time and place for everything, right?
Yeah, you go out there to get away from it all.
That's it. Yeah, time and place for everything. Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. How did you make the route, and how long did it take you? Did you do any of it by car? Was it all by bike?
It was all by bike.
GPS? Nice. How long did that take?
Well, from the first time I did it, I just threw it down on a map and then I wrote down the directions and I said, this is what I'm doing. But luckily it was all the gravel roads. It's pretty safe stuff that I rode the first year. I didn't get into any of the 2-track back then. So you were just picking Forest Service roads that were on a map that should be there conceivably. Right. Yeah. So every year it got more and more crazy. I get into more and more crazy stuff every year. And like I said, I follow rule of thumb that each day has to have stuff you can't go on a car or ATV. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I like the reason too. Most people do it for a safety reason, but there's the additional benefit of seeing things and places that other people don't get to see. And there's a greater value if you have to work to be in a beautiful place. I think you can appreciate it a little bit more. Or a lot more.
It's not at all for a safety reason, because I do only see a few cars out there really, and people are driving through there pretty slow usually. It's pretty safe out there.
So from a logistical standpoint, it's not a super technical route. What kind of resupplies? You said there's tons of camping, lots of dispersed camping, but what about food? Obviously, there's a lot of rivers, so it sounds like water is not an issue.
Yeah, water is not an issue. You go through a lot of national forest campgrounds, and those have hand pumps, so the water is for sure not an issue. And I do have like the dispersed campsites because I just like those. But on the map, there is option of dispersed or options of regular campgrounds, the national forest campgrounds, which those are like pit toilets and hand pumps and very remote. And then for the food, there's plenty of food everywhere. There's a lot of little small towns that have existed for a long time. 2020 really took a hit on those towns because some of those restaurants closed because they just can't find the employees to work it. So that's unfortunate. But there are some amazing food places on that route, and that's one of the things that I really aim for.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you with the East Texas Showdown, getting to highlight some of those small towns and communities, little restaurants, whatever. It's nice, and they appreciate it too.
Yeah, for sure they do. The one of this year on one of the stops was at it's a barbecue pit called Roadhouse 139. That's something that's got to be on every one of my roads. There's like Wabi Lodge, and that's another one, Wabi Lodge, and the Roadhouse 139. Those have to be on every one of my roads because they're so good. So it's a barbecue pit, and you wouldn't expect that in Wisconsin, but they do a good job. And we got a lot of hype when we got there. Maybe from people that the beer was flowing a little too much with, but they really loved our bikes, and some of them never seen anything like it. And a funny story is that one of them with my bikepacking frame bag, they thought it was my motor for an e-bike. So
yeah.
I never really thought about it that way. I said, no, it's just human power.
Yeah. No, it's outside of most people's, spectrum of what they experience on a daily basis. Like you said, you were the first out of your friend group to adopt it, and you introduced it to some people. And I love going out to those small communities, and everybody is super curious, like what you're doing. But I like to think it hopefully crosses a bridge, especially if those are positive interactions. And the next time they see you out there in the forest recreating, we can all respect each other. And I like to think that it bridges some gaps, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. It's, you'll always wait for the ATVers to be friendly and stuff like that, because that's probably most of what you see out there is ATVers or UTVers.
Right. Yeah. Give them a wave. Absolutely. One thing I was thinking about, I was just driving down the road, and, two motorcycles passed each other, and they waved. And I used to be in the motorcycle community. I actually owned a motorcycle business for a few years, many years ago. And so I'm very aware and familiar with motorcycle culture, and waving is a sign of acknowledgement. It's a way of saying, hey, I see you, and like, because you're the little guy out there amongst cars and 18-wheelers and all this stuff, and a wave is not just, it's like a sign of like respect and, hey, we're in this together kind of thing. And it's surprised me that the cycling community doesn't adopt that quite as easily, because we are the lowest on the totem pole whenever it comes to vehicles that are recreating outside, whether it's ATVs, motorcycles, cars, trucks. I mean, we are at the bottom.
Right.
And right. I think we could go a long way by being friendly, not only to other people, but ourselves too, and acknowledge each other out there on the trails and highways and byways or wherever we are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
It's like that everywhere, though, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's a thing, and I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll fix it. But that was just a random thought.
Yeah, superiority.
I don't get it, but whatever. Yeah, let's acknowledge each other and be friendly. So this route toward Nicola, is it only published on your personal website? Have you considered putting it?
Well, there's one other website for sure, that the NXRTH is kind of a new website up here, and it's run out of Josh Rizzo and Eau Claire. He does a really good job with his website. I do not. I'll just put, because I don't spend a lot of time on it. I have a blog on my website, and I have my routes. So that's what I want people to just get the information. I'm not a photographer by any means, and so I consider my stuff not really ready for other people's websites. But Josh likes my stuff, and he posts it on his website, and Dave Schlabowski has a website too, and he posts on his website is Life Above 8, and he does a pretty good job, but he doesn't post a lot of stuff, but the stuff that he does post is really legitimate.
Yeah. It seems like from talking to you, there's a lot of interest in the area, and your route seems to be well received. Are professional or really good photos the only thing preventing you from like having it on bikepacking.com? You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's a bummer. And maybe when I'm up there, we can, I don't know, maybe I take some pictures.
Yeah. Dave Shabalski is a professional photographer too, and we're going to be doing the Marinette Waterfall tour, and he's going to be helping me put that together so I can get it on bikepacking.com. Okay,
interesting. I assume David, has he come to the Tour de Nicola?
He did 1 year, 2020.
Oh, okay.
The COVID year.
No pictures though.
He did take pictures, but it was a completely different route. So
okay.
So he needs to, like, in order to do that, we really need to ride it again with him.
Yeah.
Or someone some professional.
Yeah, someone with a camera. My strategy is take 1 million photos and you'll get 10 good ones. So that's
it's unfortunate that like I feel that way, that I can't send it to bikepacking.com because I know this stuff, but I understand too that they're running a website, and in order to get clicks, they gotta get it's gotta look good, and it's gotta be flashy in the world of Instagram and all that stuff. That's what sells.
It does matter. I mean, I personally enjoy really good route photography. It's part of what helps tell the story. It's what helps draw people in.
Yeah, for sure.
I do want to just, because I was actually reading this on bikepacking.com last night, a completely different route. I don't try to remember which one I was reading about they're doing a fill the map challenge. They're trying to get people to send in, sub 24 hour or overnight trips, and I have one that I'm wanting to submit, and so I was just reading through their rules, and in the comments section, one of the people commented and said, one of the limiting factors is the requirement for this high-end photography. There's lots of great routes and POIs, and it's barbecue 139. Like it's the good stuff, right? But they don't have the photography. And Logan commented and said that the reality is like the new iPhones, the Galaxies. There's cell phones out there that are capable of really capturing some great photography. And I think, I don't want to speak for them, but I think it's worth mentioning that for anyone listening, that I think that they're open to iPhone photography as long as it still has to be good, But if you know how to work behind an iPhone, just something to consider for you or for them. I think that's something that, at least from that one thing I read from Logan, that's what he was saying. And they actually changed the rules for filling the map to include, I think it says sometimes iPhones and Galaxies are acceptable or can get the job done, something along those lines.
That's interesting. I know that they must not have gotten a lot of routes in because I know they extended the deadline for that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And I wonder if photography is an issue or, I have no idea, but it worked for me because I have a route, that's going to be part of my race this next year that we haven't really announced yet. But it's a perfect overnighter and it's already developed. I already know it's good. I already got photography. So I was like, oh, there's an extension. Oh, okay, cool. I'll send mine in, why not? So they got me.
Yeah. Nice.
You mentioned your waterfall route and you and Dave are going to go ride it. So I'm trying to make this make sense in my brain. So David, also published a waterfall route in Wisconsin that's now on bikepacking.com, but you have a different one?
Yeah, so his is on the northwest side. So his runs from Cable, Wisconsin, and it runs up to Lake Superior and in that area. And the one that I developed is on the east side of the state, so it's in Marinette County. And that's an area that he explored a little bit, but then he didn't really like it that much because he thought he couldn't get a really good way through without getting on without staying off of a lot of blacktop. But I did find some good stuff because I spent a little more time out there. I didn't really know that he didn't like that or didn't spend a lot of time up there. But then we kind of came together. He said maybe we should put something together for an overnight or for the overnighter, and it's a little bit longer than overnighter, I said. So I forget how many miles. It's like 200 miles, so it's a little bit longer with the sand. It takes a little bit longer to do that one. And then he said you should put like something together with a like auction off a spot for the Seawalk, the Central Wisconsin Off-Road Cycling Coalition. I was talking about it before, our single track group. He said you should auction off a spot of someone to go on your trip because you're like legit in the cycling community and people would pay for that kind of thing. I said, really? People would pay to go on a ride with me? He said, yeah, they would. So I did that. Turns out they did. I don't remember what they paid. I think like $200 or something. Mm-hmm. So we have someone going along with that trip, and Dave's going to photograph it and see what we get when we're done.
Oh, sweet. Has he, now it sounds like he has not ridden your waterfall route yet?
He has not, no.
Okay. So have you ridden his?
Parts of it. I rode his in like different parts. His was just released this year. So I actually, a funny story, me and my friends, there was Chris Schatz and Candace Jenkins and David Leibel. We went up, and then Kelly O'Day was the other one. We went up there and on a whim, and I just pulled up one of his routes because I knew he was a good route builder, but I pulled it up off of Ride with GPS. And this was one that he didn't, like, he just threw it on and didn't really ride it yet. And we went out there and we get into some stuff where we're taking our bike through trees and like super narrow passages and trees. It took us, we probably went a quarter mile and a half hour. It took us to go a quarter mile because we got some so thick of stuff. Because the road, looks like it exists on the map again. Ride with GPS, So, we did part of his route way back and saw a moose up there that time. That was one of the biggest highlights of the trip.
It'll be interesting if I can. Was it a bull moose? Actually, I want to know.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It was a big hill we were going down. Candy was in the lead. Bull moose jumps out of the ditch right in front of her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, scared her.
Imagine.
It was crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean they're usually about 8 feet at their shoulders, and then you got the antlers. So do they call them antlers or horns for bull moose?
Oh, I don't know for sure.
It don't matter. Whatever those big things are on their head.
Right.
Yeah, I've only been close to elk before. Never a bull moose. I can't even imagine how just massive they are.
Yeah, moose are pretty rare here, so that was something. First time I've seen one, and the only time I've seen one in Wisconsin.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, it'll be interesting we need to get David's feedback on your waterfall route. We'll need him to give an unbiased opinion. Whose is better? Or maybe they're both great and you have to do both of them. When we talk about waterfalls, like, are we talking swimming? Are these like 500-foot waterfalls? Like what are we looking at?
They're probably biggest ones are a little over 100 feet.
It's still, I think. Yeah,
it's good. Size. But there's some nice ones you can swim in with really nice pools in it. And I always like swimming in them. Always.
Oh yeah. Well, that's other than the beauty is always having a nice little watering hole and a swim spot on your route goes a long way, especially during the summer months.
Yep.
Good opportunity to stop, get naked, and check for ticks, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well kill two birds or kill two ticks with one stone, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about some Red Granite Grinder? Are you ready to get into your... let's do it. Yeah,
let's get into the race.
Let's get into it, man. This is the one that's coming up. This is the big one. So coming up, October 13th through 15th?
Yep.
Red Granite Grinder. This is your gravel race. I'm going to be there. That's happening, taking pictures, talking to people, and checking out Wisconsin for the first time. So I'm excited about it.
We're excited to have you up here too.
Yeah, dude. I've never been to Wisconsin. I feel like I'm basically going to Canada, right? So I'm basically in Mexico over here, But
weather could be any time that time of the year too. So we're
gonna talk about weather later. I do want to get into weather.
Yeah, for sure.
What is Red Granite Grinder? What is it?
It's ran by Ironbull. Ironbull was a nonprofit organization, and Ironbull started up in 2019, and they developed a ton of different outdoor races and events to get people to enjoy the outdoors and see what Wausau has to offer. We feel we could be the next Bend, Oregon, really.
For outdoor rec, for cycling,
for outdoor rec, because of all the things I told you we had with the downhill skiing, the whitewater kayaking, and all the kayaking, regular kayaking, and the biking, all that stuff combined.
Well, I mean, I don't know as much about the other sports as I do about cycling. Whenever I was thinking about Wisconsin and Wausau, Northwest Arkansas came to mind. It's a little bit more familiar to me, but a little bit more rural, smaller town, but has clearly become a mecca and a tourism hotspot for people in the outdoors, specifically any kind of bikepacking, mountain biking, single track. So you really see Wausau as like an undiscovered. Wausau.
Yeah, Wausau.
Wausau as a undiscovered and untapped like outdoor recreation market, really.
Yeah, for sure. And we don't have a lot of people here, which makes it really nice because our freeways are not crowded. Cool. You can go all day on the roads and see very few cars on the gravel for sure.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So the Red Granite Grinder, is that a route that you developed or routes that you developed? How did it even come to fruition?
Okay, so Shane Stewart was the other Shane in our cycling group. Shane Stewart, he was the first one to be asked to be on the Ironbull Red Granite Grinder, a race director, and then he really couldn't because commitments he had. So then they asked me to do it, and I didn't even know this Ironbull thing was going on back in 2019. They just asked me, and I was like, really? That's awesome, because that's amazing. That's what I want to do, is get people on gravel around here, because that's what I do, a lot of gravel riding along with mountain biking, and the gravel here is amazing. Super, super smooth, and the group rides that we have done, it's just super fun. It's what really got me into all this, is the fun of it.
Yeah.
So then they asked me to do that, and then Shane Stewart teamed up with me for the first year, and we put together a loop. We started this process like in April, and we had till October, which isn't a lot of time. It sounds like a lot of time to put a route together, but it's not. No, it's not. So it wasn't the greatest route, but I don't.
And what year
remember.
was that?
2019.
Okay, 19. Okay,
yeah.
So you're 4 years. This will be your fourth.
Yeah, this will be our
year. Fourth year. Okay.
Fourth year. Yeah, but we did get 100 registrants. It was a lot of people, closer within the state, and the winner of that was 140 miles, the longest. The winner of it, he came from Chicago. He finished it in like 8 hours. Amazing time.
Oh wow.
But there's a couple of things I didn't like about the route. So I kind of, with the feedback too, we had some feedback that I went on roads that were a little too many people, county roads that were blacktop. There was a little too many people on those, so I took those suggestions to heart, and I started over a little bit, kind of that winter, just by chance. I'm out fat biking, looking at this piece of land up in Newwood area, and that's Newwood area is up in like the very north end of what is now the 144 mile route. So it's the very north end of it, and I'm like, this place is amazing, but I'm looking at it in the winter when there's snow everywhere. There's no grass. It's all covered up. It's like tons of snow. It was, I think it was actually New Year's Day. And the road I was going to take turned out to be private. Guy comes along and he's like, he was the rudest guy ever. He's like, don't even think about going down that road. I'm just looking at it at this point. Don't even think about going down that road. That's private road. Take your toys and go somewhere else. I'm like, really? So then I rode around. I ended up talking to some people that were hunting something. I don't know, bobcat or something. And they had a snowmobile in there. And I said, where's the best way to get through here? And they pointed me at a road, but it was gated off. They said, we use it. I don't know. And that ended up being private property too. So I didn't go down, and it was all covered in snow. It's like, knee deep. I'm not going to be walking my bike through knee deep snow for 3 miles just to get to the other side. And then that day I put on 50 miles scouting that area, and I came up with a plan that I'm going to come up here. I'm going to talk to these landowners. I'm going to get a way through here. So to put that 144 mile route together, I talked to, I think it was 3 private landowners, and then a lumber company that owns some other land. And they all let me go through. They were super nice. And it worked out amazing because the top of that route goes through all that private property. There's a lake back there that no one knows about because it's on private property. This little 2-track skirts along the edge of that lake. Amazing. And then you come out on a dirt road, which is where I wanted to come out, on a public road, and then take that dirt road a little ways further and get onto some more 2-track, which is owned by the Department of Natural Resources. And so that's pretty easy to get access through there for an event. And you cross a creek, and creeks are, like I said, water crossings are amazing. I love them. And then cross the creek and then come out onto more forest roads and then make your way back down south. So I had the top end of that route created, and then I just used most of what we had on the bottom end, and that's what we have today.
Wow. So the really neat thing about that route is, true to form, you are now taking people on roads that they wouldn't have access to any other way other than riding it during your race. I mean, this is private land, so you're not going to get access, the other 364 days of the year. If you want to go and see these spots and ride this route, there's really only one time to do it. That's interesting.
Right. And it's not only those spots on the 144. We have spots throughout on the 85 and the 50. So like how the route started out is the 85 and 144 go up Rib Mountain, and Rib Mountain is a 800-foot climb. And you do it within like a mile and a half or something like that. So it's pretty steep. And then you get up to the top, and normally every other time of the year, you have to turn around and go back down. People do that. People, do rib repeats because that's, what they do. It's good exercise, good training.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we got permission for this one day only to go over top of Rib Mountain and around the quarry, and then you descend down a rough hiking trail, and that's where everybody's splats happen. You bring 2 narrow tires. Sorry, you're only 10 miles into the race. That's where your flats are going to happen.
Oh my God! Well, pro tip right there. Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then so bomb down that back down 800 feet all the way down to the bottom. So, and also on the top of Red Mountain, there's a hike-a-bike section. So you have to carry your bike probably about 3/4 of a mile, and because it's too rugged to even ride it. You can't ride that stuff because the rocks are too big. So then you bomb down the hill. If you have big enough tires, you don't get a flat. And then at the bottom, we have a new section this year. Goes past the racetrack, like a stock car race. Stock car races.
Oh yeah.
Like an oval track. That's all private property.
Dirt or pavement?
Pavement. I don't know much about stock. I don't know much about stock cars.
I don't either.
But either way, we go. We.
I was picturing an old Dukes or Hazzard, dirt track or something.
Yeah.
But I got you. All right.
We're way up in the Northwoods here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you take that. The trail actually goes on the first corner of the racetrack, and then you go off of the racetrack onto the Snowmobile Trail, which isn't used for anything but snowmobiles any other time of the year. So it's long grass. You go through long grass. That's a new section. And then you pop out onto a road that's maybe a mile long, new section of private land. We take pride in all the private land we're getting, as you can see what I'm getting at here. and then because that's amazing, working with all these people in the community, and most of them are super nice about letting you use their land. And then get out onto the main road and go through 9 Mile County Forest and then into the school forest. School forest let us use their land. And amazing stuff back there too. Wooden bridges that kids use for hiking, and all kinds of really cool. Some of our best photos were taken in school forest.
Wow. That's really interesting, man. You've definitely taken a unique approach to route creating, and not only a unique approach, but the legwork to talk to all the different landowners and land managers and get all the permits. That is a huge undertaking.
Huge. Yeah, it's huge. And a lot of credit goes to Andrea, Alex Shinners, and Andrea Larson. Andrea's the executive director of Ironbull, and Alex is the assistant executive director. They do a lot of the legwork for me with getting permissions, but I do some too. And it's crazy the amount we have to go through. But then there's another private land section we have new this year. And that section, I was riding past it. I had my eye on it for a long time on the satellite. I see this perfect piece of land that went through a farm field, or perfect track that went through a farm field. And so I had my eye on that for 2 years now. And then I saw someone out working in the shed, a farmer, and I just take the chance, go over there and talk to him. And he's like, well, I think he said it's his sister's land. And I said, oh, okay. He said, I'll give her your number. Your race sounds really interesting. I was like, oh, cool. Thanks. And then she calls me that same day, and she's like, I heard you guys want to run a bike race through my land. And I said, yeah. And she's like, that's awesome. And I was like, really? I mean, I wasn't even expecting that. Sometimes you get the best reactions because you aren't even expecting it. And then she said, yeah, and you can for sure ride through there. And that's another half mile of private land goes past right through a farm or through a cornfield. That's
amazing.
And then
I love that they're so receptive to it.
Yeah. And then on the 50-mile course this year, I said I got to give these guys something, because they don't go up. 50-mile course doesn't go up a mountain because it's more of a route that kind of gets people into gravel riding.
Yeah, a good introduction.
Right, you got to introduce people easily. You can't just say you have to go through the worst stuff. But then I said I got to give them something. No, they got to get something out of this. So then I found Willow Springs Corn Maze and talked to those people, and they said, yeah, sure, you can ride right through our corn maze. You'll be the first ones to go through before we open it up for the haunted corn maze, and the first ones ever to go through it for the year. And she said, go ride it. I went out there 2 weeks ago or last week or something. She said, go ride it right now and see what you think. I said, the corn's already cut through there? She said, yeah. It's it must be done on GPS or something, because it's exactly the same every year. And so I rode through there, and it's just amazing. And then I pop out at the other end, and I see, I didn't know this, but I see a 2-track through another farm field that leads up to a barn that's probably a half mile or quarter mile, or probably a half mile away, and the barn is. And then I go and talk to that landowner. I said, can we run the race right down this 2-track and right past your barn? He said, sure. Right past the barn, right through his yard.
Man, should you be negotiating for our government at a higher level? You have an insane high yes rating for getting people to let you host events on their land or through their land. It's pretty impressive.
Besides that guy in the winter that told me to take my toys somewhere else.
That's still pretty good. Miles Arbor almost got shot for trying to go camp on somebody's land once. So, there's levels to that game. But no, you're putting in the work.
Well, I think that the whole thing I get from this is that there's a lot more nice people out there than there are rude people.
I think that's true. And it's good. I mean, that's good for people to know. I mean, both that people are open and receptive to that. And the other thing is you really do have to put in the work and the time and go talk to people. And it doesn't just happen, it takes a lot of work. I was going to ask you what, there's a lot of gravel events, right? I mean, gravel is very popular. What makes your routes, your event special? I think you just answered it. I mean, I think that is the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So how many gravel events go on the off-road sections in private land? I don't know of any really. There might be some, but
I don't know any. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is how hard it is. This event is so hard. The 140 I'm talking about. The 85 is really hard too. But the 50 mile is very, like I was saying, is a good introductory route. But the 140 is so hard. And my wife and my daughter they run the aid station at mile 100. And mile 100 is way up at the top end. It's right before the river crossing. But right before the mile 100 aid station, there's a bunch of 2-track and the private land and all that. And she gets so many comments. Who designed this route? They're crazy. They're insane. And it's like, that'd be my husband. Talk to him. Because this stuff is hard.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people like a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this event should be on people's radar.
Did you design it in a way to where, the 50 mile is an introduction, I believe you said 85 mile is kind of the intermediate, and then 144 is advanced, not only in distance, but in technicality? Is this like you would graduate in a sense, maybe?
Yes, for sure. The 50 came about in, I think, the year 2020. And we wanted something that would get people into gravel riding. And so the 50 wasn't always out there. And so yeah.
For people who are interested in signing up, who is each distance geared to? Who are you trying to attract, and what would be a good fit for people on each route?
The 50 for sure, that people that have never done a race, they like it because it's attainable to them. They don't feel like it's something that they can't do. It does have more blacktop on it because it takes a while to get to gravel. Like I think it's like 6 miles out of town before you get to gravel, and then it's hard for me to get very high percentage of gravel on a 50-mile route. So it's a lot easier because they're on pavement a lot more, and the fun factor is there. They go away from that event saying, hey, I can do that. Next year, I want to do the 85. Same thing with the 85-mile riders. They use it as a stepping stone. They'll do the 85 one year, and then they'll say they're going to do the 144. Sometimes they do the 144, but sometimes they'll say, no, I'm going to do the 85 again because I'm still unsure. I didn't train hard enough. But the 144 is definitely geared for people that are very high level.
Have you, this just popped in my head. I feel like the next progression is another Shane Hitz route that's like, so you go 144, but now we need like a 380, a 400.
I have been thinking about that.
Right? It has to happen because, I mean, you can't let people hanging, man. They do with a 144, they're going to want more.
Yep.
So how hard is the 144? Let's be realistic. How difficult, what kind of challenges are you really facing? Because one thing as a race or a route creator, you don't want people signing up for the wrong thing. Things happen and stuff, but yeah.
Okay. So the 144, 38% of the people don't finish it.
Okay.
That's how hard it is. So
okay. What else do you need to know? So what makes it hard though? Climbing, terrain, like what makes it hard?
It's like the climbing for sure plays a role in it. Let's see how many, I forgot how many feet of climbing it is total. I got to look back at the Ride with GPS route here. It's got 200 feet of climbing. So
in 144 miles.
yeah. So the climbing on it is like really, really hard at the beginning because you got to climb that 800 feet upward mountain, only to carry your bike at the top for 3/4 of a mile, and then bomb down the other side. And you got to have big enough tires that you aren't going to get a flat on the way down. So then you're riding, if you choose bigger tires. Chris Schatz, he rides 2.6 inch on a Fargo. He finishes the 144. But it's hard to do it with that big a tire.
What do you recommend? What are you seeing people being most successful with? What type of bike and tire is probably the most appropriate?
The winners are probably running 44s.
Yeah, on a gravel bike.
On a gravel bike, yeah. But Chris Schatz, he's one that'll just do it to finish it like me. That's like me too. I do things just to finish. I'm not a racer, really.
Oh no. But there's people out there that like to go fast. If Brett comes, he'll be wanting to go fast. But he might be on his Fargo and a 2.6 inch tire and single speed and still going fast.
So the other thing that makes this race really hard is what the weather can do to you. So the first year we had rain, and our gravel doesn't get too bad with rain, but with the cold that we have, it's like it'll be a 35 degree start on that's probably average 35 degree start, and then the high temperature for the day will be like 50s, which isn't bad. But then you throw rain into it, that makes it hard. And then the second year we had it was the snow year. The snow year was amazing. We had probably an inch of snow on the ground when we woke up, and from what I remember, I don't think we were expecting snow. But the photographs from it were amazing, and all the comments whenever we post a picture online on Facebook or whatever for it, the comments on it, I love that year. The comments are, but there's a lot of people that didn't finish it. There's a lot of people that brought the wrong gear, the wrong clothing. I had people turning around right from, they didn't even make it out of town. They're turning around and coming back. I don't have the right clothing for this.
Wow. We saw that we see that at Med South too. They could be rainy, muddy. It could be hot. It could be snowing. It can't
be hot. It can't be hot here.
We'll take hot out of the equation.
Yeah.
So plan to be cold and maybe wet as well.
And maybe wind, and maybe fighting a headwind.
Oh my gosh.
For half of it.
Can't be a headwind the whole time. Okay.
Last year was the wind year.
Oh my gosh. Why do most people drop out? Do you have a sense for that?
The most people on the 144, they drop out because it just becomes too hard, or they're not going to make the cutoff. We have a cutoff at 7:30, I believe, this year. We moved the cutoff. It used to be a little bit earlier because we're trying to get people in before it gets too dark, just for safety.
Yeah.
And a lot of people drop out because they're not going to make the cutoff. And then there's a lot of people that drop out because it's just too hard. Last year I had someone trying to do the 144 on a fat bike, and he couldn't do it. He ended up riding home with my wife and daughter. They gave him from the aid station at 100. He made it up to 100. And then there's people that drop out because they're busting derailleurs or getting flats.
Yeah. One thing I didn't think about a whole lot before becoming a race director is extraction off the course. If you're having such a high percentage of, scratches, y'all are pulling a lot of people off the course. Do y'all have like vehicles for that, or
no? They're expected to make their own way off or have their own arrangements. It just happened that he was at mile 100, and my wife said, "Yeah, if you wait till we leave, yeah, you can." But here's a pro tip: if it's a rainy year, especially, we have a drop bag option. So we have at our aid station 50 and aid station 100. The 144s can take a drop bag to each one, and the 85 milers can take a drop bag to the mile 50 aid station. Then you could throw clothes in there. That's like that helps immensely.
Yeah, throw a complete change of warm, dry clothes
Right.
or anything you want. Some
Yep.
hand warmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. What's your prediction? What kind of weather are we going to have this year? You're kind of making me want to have snow. Snow sounds fun.
It's amazing. Snow is, but I think this year is going to be the warm year because we haven't had a warm year yet. Warm, I'm talking like 60 degrees.
Okay, that sounds pleasant.
Yeah, if we have 60 degrees, then there's going to be a record set on the 144. There's going to be a record set on every course.
Oh, for sure. I'm hoping, I mean, coming from Texas, I'll be hoping for warmer weather for sure, but I'll come bundled up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What about the scenery? I mean, you call it the Red Granite Grinder. Are they all, or is there a lot of red granite?
That's what we have here is a lot of granite, and it's red. So the roads are
beautiful.
All red, but it's not like up north they have a lot of iron ore in the ground, so everything gets red from that, like the dust from it. It doesn't do that. Your bike doesn't get all full of it. The roads are very hard packed. They're mostly red. There's a lot of farm equipment out there at that time of the year because there's the harvest going on. So they're very, very smooth running roads. The problem people have is when they get into the off-road sections and they're dispersed throughout the course.
And how does rain impact? It sounds like the granite, obviously, you're not going to have too much issue with rain, but off-road sections, are they getting pretty nasty?
Yeah, they get slick because they're on grass and stuff like that. They get pretty slick.
That's where I want to be posted up for some photo ops if it's raining.
For sure.
That's where I want you to put me. I want to see people suffering.
Yeah.
I want to see people. Yeah, come on out to this event. I'll take your picture while you are suffering, and I'll smile and wave. I wanted to ask you about how the community is receiving this event, how you're getting them involved with your race and your event.
Yeah, we're really pushing at getting the community more involved with this and that they know what's going on. One thing that we're doing is this year we're going to have a concert on the Friday before the race, the night before. We're going to have a concert on the square that's for everybody. So the band Through Crimson, they're a local band, rock, kind of like 90s rock. They're going to be playing, and so we're hoping that a lot of people from the community come out there, and we're going to be selling beer too. So along with that, we're going to have a beer unveiling. Kevin Eichelberger from Red Eye is brewing up a beer for us that is specific for the Red Granite Grinder. He has had I don't remember which one he had in the past. He's had a beer in the past, but I told him brew us up something like specific this year that's brand new. So he's going to have something brand new, and I told him whatever he wants. He's the brewer. It's his thing, you know. He's the specialist. I'm all for.
Yeah, I don't like to go to a dentist and tell him how to do his job. I don't like to go to a brewer and tell him how to make beer. You know,
exactly.
Hit me with your best shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have the beer unveiling right before the concert, and then also we're gonna have a group rides on Thursday and Friday. Thursday's group ride is going to be 60 miles, so it's a tough group ride, but we're going to be heading up to the north end of the 140-mile route, and we're going to be getting a little deeper into that one too, stuff that you aren't going to find on the grinder, but we're also going to do the best stuff that you do see on the grinder, like the creek crossing and some of the private land. Not all of the private land, but some of it, because we got to save some of that stuff for the people that are, paying for it. And then, so that's kind of a long group ride, but hoping to get the community.
And that day is that one's Thursday?
Yeah, that one's Thursday. And then
Friday, you're doing a 25-miler?
Yeah, a 25-miler on Friday, and that one's very easy. So we call that one what a big ring hydrate. So a big ring, throw on the big ring on the front, hydrate.
Okay.
So Friday, hydrate.
Okay.
And that one's pretty easy ride, and that one's not on any of the courses. It's just like 95% gravel, very flat.
Oh, wow. Is that starting from downtown?
No. Both these rides are out of town a little bit. We're going to be parking at churches.
Oh yeah. Yeah, churches are great for parking.
Yeah,
I use them all the time.
They said as long as they don't have a funeral. It's like nobody die on those days.
Oh my gosh. Can we please have nobody die? Just in general, but also on this day. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to ride one of the group rides, and I think I'm going to take pictures of the other one. Do we know which one I'm going to be on?
I think you should do if you're going to ride one and take pictures on one, I think you should ride the 25, take pictures of the 60 mile, because we're going to get into the bush on the 60. So you're going to get some good pictures up there. And if I have you go out to the creek, for sure, you'll get some good stuff out there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking from from a riding standpoint. Obviously, the 59, 60 mile one sounds pretty epic. But from a photography standpoint, it sounds like that's the one. And then the other cool thing is, if I do the 25, it's more casual. We can chat while we're riding. We can get to know each other. We can probably drink a beer while we're riding. I mean, anything's on the table.
And anybody that's in the group can talk to you, find out a little bit more about you, and find out a little bit more about me. They can ask me on either of the rides. They can ask me all the questions they want about the routes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll be on both group rides then?
Yes. Yep. But I'll be on my single speed. So I'm going to be hanging out in the back of the group.
Yeah.
I run 32.18 right now on my single speed. So I'm only riding at 13.5 miles an hour.
Wow, that's a great speed, man. That's a great speed.
So here's one thing. I've done the 144 last year. I did it in just under the cutoff time. I was 11 hours, 45 minutes on the single speed. Pamela, my wife, she brought up food and water for me halfway through. And that's the only time I stopped. I stopped to talk to her for a little bit, got back on, rode the rest. I sat in that saddle the whole time.
Wow.
Got it done.
For 11 hours.
Yeah, so if I can do it on a 32.18, anybody can do it.
Yeah. Are you allowed to race? Don't you have to be directing?
No, sorry, I did this in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why she brought you food. So she was your resupply point.
Yep. Yeah. Otherwise she's at the aid station. If you want to talk to her, you'll see her up at the 100 mile.
Yeah, what's her name? We'll have to say hi to her.
Pamela and my daughter Julia will be up there.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned Pamela.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then Joey, my son, he volunteers for the on Rib Mountain section to keep people going in the right direction. There's so many trails on Rib Mountain that we got to have volunteers up there to keep people going in the right direction. That's another thing. The volunteers, we have some great volunteers. I mean, they come back year after year after year, and we couldn't do it without them. So that's amazing.
How many volunteers do you have? Do you know?
No, I don't know offhand.
I'm sure it changes every year anyway.
Yeah, it does, because we need people. We got 4 aid stations on the 144, and then three on the 85, but all those are shared, and then we have one on the 50 mile. So we have a lot of volunteers just for aid stations, and then we have some at the beginning of the course, just getting people through certain sections that are single track and really difficult to patch your way through, especially on Rib Mountain.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It sounds like you've thought of everything. I mean, and I, every year you get better, right? You're on year 4, so you've had more feedback, and you've had more time to just make it better.
Yeah. We send out a questionnaire after the race, and I really take that feedback to heart. Some of them I'm not going to do, but some of the stuff is really good feedback, and I take it to heart.
I've experienced the same thing with my own events. I love the feedback. It's super valuable. And like you, sometimes I read the feedback and I'm like, I appreciate it. I know what you're saying, but also I did that on purpose. Some of it is no, that's just part of the deal. And, you can't make everybody happy, but it does sound like a super...
One of the things that people say that I really like about, that I take a lot of pride in, is starting at downtown. People love that. They love our downtown start. And that's something I got criticized about when I first started this race. Oh, you can't have it downtown because you're riding blacktop out to get out of town. Why would you do that? Get it out, be out in the middle of nowhere, start it. I said, no, the downtown is where it has to be at because that's where everything is. The lights are all on. So it's just an amazing, amazing environment, especially when the snow year made it epic, the downtown start. But then to start downtown, we have a police escort out of town. And people just love the police escort because it just makes it seem like bigger than life,
So it's just like a neutral rollout until you get to gravel, or
no, they go with the speed of people. They just lead it. I mean,
oh wow! So people are actually racing with the escort.
Yeah, the escort's taking the lead, but they're going. The escort is going just as fast as they're going to go, as the lead's going to go.
So how far until the escort peels away and they're on, safe roads and don't need the escort anymore?
Let's see. It's not very far. Let's see. I have to look at my map for this, but like 3.5 miles.
Oh yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing really.
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
It's
weird that you got so much flack for 3.5 miles. That's like, I was picturing something a lot more dramatic, but it seems quite reasonable.
Yeah, it is. And then when the really cool thing about the start, other than, the police escort is amazing. Then you cross the river in Wausau, the Wisconsin River. And that's kind of when you start going out of town. But then at the same time, when you cross that river, the sun is just starting to come up. And that's amazing in itself. But you can also see Rib Mountain in its full glory. And that's what you're going to have to climb when you reach it. And Rib Mountain, it's a sight. It's tall. And you have to climb that in a little bit. And mile 6.
Daunting.
Mile 6 is where the climb starts for Rib Mountain. So
what time y'all kick it off if you're watching the sunrise?
6 o'clock, I believe. Or no, 7 o'clock. Sorry, 7 o'clock.
Okay, 7 o'clock.
Yeah. So I ride a little bit of the route at the start. I ride like sweeper, and I ride over Rib Mountain, and then through the school forest, just to make sure everybody made it through those areas, and let the volunteers know that their job for the day is done. And the coolest thing last year was crossing the Wisconsin River, and I look at Rib Mountain, and all I see is a bunch of dots from the headlights from the bikes.
Oh yeah,
and
a line of lights.
Yeah, within the forest, they're like blinking because they're going in between trees and stuff, and it was an amazing sight.
It sounds beautiful. Can't wait, man. I'm really excited. It really sounds like it sounds amazing. It sounds beautiful. You've put in a lot of work to make unique and one-of-a-kind routes that can only be seen at the event. Is registration open right now?
Yeah. Yes, it's open right now. And if you register before September 1st, you can take advantage of the lower price. Otherwise, after that, we're going to have a price increase.
Yeah.
So register now.
Register right now. Head to your local web browser. Where do they point the browser though? Like, where can people register and come ride with me and come check out the whole shebang?
Ironbull.org. So IRONBULL.org. And then
easy.
Yeah, then just click on the tab on the side to events, and then go down to the Red Granite Grinder. If you want to sign up for a different event, there's a lot of other events on there too.
Nope, they want to do the Red Granite Grinder.
Yeah.
I know how to talk. That's the one you want. No, I mean, it does sound like, I know that I've checked out their website. They have a lot of great events in the area.
Yeah, one of the other events I want to tell you about, another event that I put on, is the Essential Gravel. Did I tell you about that event?
Essential Gravel.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 2020, height of the pandemic, we didn't know what was going to go on, like everybody. We didn't know if we were going to have a race, So I said, well, Andrea, we got to have something. because we gotta keep our name going. So we gotta have something. And this is only our year 2. So I said, let's have a gravel ride that's free in June. Because we don't know at that time in June what's going to go on. So let's have a gravel ride that's free, but people can do it whenever they want. So it's a race they can get prizes for, but they register for it on the site by either scanning a QR code or register online. And then they submit their results just electronically, send them in, and it's just the honor system.
Oh, wow.
So essential gravel, I came up with that because of essential workers, and gravel is essential, right?
Absolutely. to what we do, it is absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I have this event it's a week-long event, and you do it anytime you want. I have it over Father's Day weekend on purpose that way, so get families out there. And there's families that do it. We have prizes for kids and prizes for adults. We had the first year of it. One of my friends, James Seliger, his daughter Karina finished it in the 44. I have a 44, 25, and a 10-mile run. She did the 44 at age 9.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's a lot on her own. The whole thing.
Yep. Well, with her parents, of course.
Well, yeah, but unassisted. I should say.
But unassisted. Unassisted. Yeah.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
Yeah. So what I did, I designed that route using our rails to trails and roads that are. This is on the east side of Marathon County, and one of the rails to trails was like one that's like gets very little use, and I really wanted to get people to see that trail and use it and take advantage of it. It's kind of growing up with grass a little bit, but the state does take care of it by mowing it. So they do stick money into it, but it's you feel off the beaten path, and it goes past a train museum, like a little train museum that's from a long time ago, and goes past 3 different lakes. It's really beautiful route.
So to get info on that one, is that at Ironbull as well?
Yes. So
okay, and to do because you said you could do it all year long. There's prizes, but then you said that there's also like a week.
No, not all year long. It's only open that 1 week a year.
Oh, okay. Maybe you said
yeah.
Okay, so you can ride it any time within that week. You can register online, and that makes you eligible for like the prizes that you have.
Yep. And you can ride it as many times as you want to.
And did you say that one was free?
That's free.
Wow. So you're just getting sponsors to help out with that one, I guess, to make it make sense. I mean,
we do have sponsors for Ironbull, and this costs us very little. I mean, we have just the prizes that we give away. They're just they're not a huge prize or anything, but that's only cost in it really for us.
Yeah.
One of our biggest
put the right out there.
One of our biggest sponsors this year was actually the Green Bay Packers. I mean, most well known. I shouldn't say biggest sponsor. It's not the most money, but yeah, the Green Bay Packers gave us a pretty good check.
What? Why would the Green Bay Packers? I guess they just promoting.
Because we applied for it. We applied for it and got it.
Well, I want the Houston Oilers. They don't even exist anymore. I don't know.
Don't exist. But yeah, it's amazing to have that kind of spotlight.
Yeah, that's well, it's just so different, the crossover between NFL and bikepacking and gravel.
It's athletics.
Yeah, I love it though. I mean, make it all. I mean, it just shows hopefully that cycling, gravel riding, bikepacking is becoming more. I don't want it to be too mainstream, but it's nice that people want to support what you guys are doing out there for sure and help it happen and see the value in that. That's big.
Yeah, and we're starting to get a lot more sponsors now. I have the prize that we're going to be giving away this year. I'll talk about that a little bit. Is we're giving away cutting boards, and I got those all made from. I work at Colby Windows and Doors. That's where I work, and they gave us all the cutting boards, And then I'm having another guy is doing all the engraving in it. Well, it's going to say Ironbull Red Granite Grinder, and it's going to have like I have a single speed event this year too. I told you that. And it's going to have like the single speed ones are going to have the single speed cog and sprocket on it. And then we have a cutting board for every age group and for overall finishers. So there's a whole pile of cutting boards I filled the back of the Prius was filled up with cutting boards.
Oh man, I'm trying to, I guess, cheese. You obviously want to be cutting all your cheese on your new cutting board, right?
There you go.
Awesome, dude. Well, appreciate it, man. I'm really excited to come out and check it out. I've never been to Wisconsin. I'm totally sold and excited about the whole thing. I'm looking forward to getting out there, hanging out with you, riding some bikes with people, and checking out a new place to go recreate outside. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that in my book, you know?
People got to really come up here and check this stuff out. I mean, if anybody wants information on some bikepacking routes, let me know. Shoot me an email. And you're gonna post my website up there, I take it.
Yeah. I was about to say I will link to everything, to Ironbull, Instagram, your website, and I mean, the bottom line is, if you're interested in riding in Wisconsin, you should probably hit up Shane Hitz. Ooh, look at that pun. That's a good pun. Hit up Shane Hitz. Man, I should do this for a living.
Quit your day job.
Oh man, I'm trying. All right, buddy. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. I will link to everything in the show notes on the website, make it easy for people to find, but it does sound epic. I'm looking forward to being there and hopefully seeing a lot of other people from the Bikes for Death community out there as well.
Yeah, I hope so too.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be cold. It could be snowing and raining and all the things.
Yeah, looking forward to you being here too, and looking forward to riding with you.
Yeah, let's do some riding.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, have a good night, and we will certainly talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye, Shane. Take care.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and thanks again to Shane Hitz for coming on the podcast and telling us all about Wisconsin. I am really excited to be up there this October, checking out a new area, riding bikes in a new area, kind of hoping for good weather, but also if the weather turns nasty, I think it's going to make for some good pictures and just an all around good type 2 type fun time. And I think I'd be fine with it either way, but no matter what your pleasure is, if that sounds like a good time to you and you'd like to hang out and ride bikes with me, you can register over at ironbull.org, or you can check the show notes. All right, and for those of you who are interested in hearing more about the Bikes for Death takeover at Mulberry Gap, here is the rest of my conversation with Kate Gates. For people who don't know, where is Mulberry Gap? I mean, we've obviously talked about it a lot on the podcast, but give people an idea. If they sign up, they want to come, where is Mulberry Gap located? What are they going to be signing up for in terms of, you know, the natural resources and even maybe talk about your establishment, you know, Mulberry Gap, the place we're going.
Yeah. The place we're going, the place we'll be gathering. Yeah. So Mulberry Gap is located in Ellijay, Georgia. So we're about an hour and a half northwest of Atlanta, about 2 hours from the airport there, and about 75 minutes southeast from Chattanooga. So for those that are interested in coming, but driving really isn't feasible for whatever reason or doesn't make sense, those airports are going to be the best places for y'all to fly into. And then there's going to be an option. We're going to get community members together to either carpool if they want and coordinate that, or there are also some shuttle services that will pick you up from those airports and bring you to our facility. So easy to get here. Hopefully we're trying to make sure that it makes sense for a lot of folks. And yeah, I mean, we're going to be gathering for optional bike packing night on Thursday night. And that's for folks that can and want to come a little bit early and maybe test out their gear, just bike pack in a new place with some other folks without having to tackle it as an individual. We're just going to go for a single overnight on Thursday. There's going to be multiple routes to get to and from that campsite, pedaling there Thursday and coming back to Mulberry Gap on Friday. So you're not committed to any kind of crazy mileage or hard single track or anything if you don't want to. But if you would like to make it more challenging, then those options will be available to you. And we're going to really just get together and like you said, just build community, work on networking with each other and getting to know a lot of new faces and having some really good food, gathering around some campfires, having some good beverages, and there'll be cabin and campsite options available to everybody.
Yeah. So one thing worth mentioning on those ride options is we're going to have ride leaders on all the different routes as well. So no drop rides. Everybody will get to camp safe and lots of different options. So that's actually pre-event. That's even before the event starts, is we're going to have a little bike packing trip that everyone is welcome to. And that's on Thursday because, well, maybe people can't get off work on Thursday, but on Friday is kind of when the real event kicks off. So check-in is at 2. We're going to do a meet and greet group ride at 3, and then dinner at the barn will be provided, and an after party with a bonfire and a little bit of camaraderie to close out day 1. It's worth mentioning also that with the packages, I want to make sure we outline that, what you're getting is your stay, whether you're camping or in a cabin. Both of those are available to you. And then all of your food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is all provided. Coffee's provided. You have a saying at Mulberry Gap, just bring your bike. And this event is a just bring your bike event. Once you get there, all you need is your bike and a smile, and we're going to provide the rest, a lot of fun, festivities, food, and places to stay. Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, beyond some of the fun stuff that we have, I know that we're going to be doing some educational presentations, some scavenger hunts. We've got a Ride with GPS on board as a sponsor for that. So we've got some fun things in the works that we're still kind of detailing out how everything's going to come together, but we're going to be kind of announcing those in future presentations to you guys about this event. And yeah, the food's going to be great. The rides are going to be fun. The social gatherings are going to be a really good time. So we also have quite a few sponsors on board already that have donated some really amazing prizes. So we're going to be doing a cool raffle towards the end on Sunday before everybody heads out.
Yeah, the scavenger hunt is, I think, going to be a lot of fun. We've outlined a whole afternoon on Saturday to do that, and we're not going to give away too many secrets with the scavenger hunt. We don't want anybody cheating and getting ahead, but yeah, the whole thing is just going to be geared towards, I would say, bikes, community, fun, and education, and we're trying to figure out the way to bring all that together and put on a really good event. The other thing that's worth mentioning is you can go to mulberrygap.com. You can visit their events section. Registration is live. You can see the entire itinerary, everything that we have planned, and you can register there. Please, if you have any questions about the event, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And we are also open to sponsors. If you are a company or you know of a business that might want to bring value and be at this event, we would love to talk to you. Or if you're in a band in the local area and you want to come, or not local and you want to come and play some music for us, this is a new event. We're just launching it. There's a lot of things that we have buttoned down, but we're still open to having conversations with people in the community that are excited about this event the way we are. So if you'd like to get involved, or if you'd like to be there and have questions, just holler at us. You can reach out to Mulberry Gap on their website, or you can always email me at bikesfordeath.com. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And more importantly, we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good time.
All right, Kate. Well, I am excited. I genuinely appreciate you reaching out to me with this idea, because I'm always looking for ways to figure out how to build this community. I think this is going to be a great way to do it. I think it's going to be hopefully appeal to a wide audience. And I think the last thing worth mentioning is that this is a very limited space event. At this point, it's only open to 50 people. So far, I think we have about 15 people signed up, which is great. Can't wait to see all of you. But if this is something that you're interested in, don't delay because there are only 35 spots left.
Yeah. And thank you, Patrick. We're super stoked about this. Excited to be partnering with you on it and to be able to meet more folks in the community and really build some lasting memories and relationships.
Well, all I need from you is to just have perfect weather that weekend, and I think your job is done.
It's going to be chilly, but it's going to be perfect for campfires and all sorts of fun. Hot tubs.
Oh, yeah. We can finally break out the hot tub. I like that. All right, Kate. Well, I appreciate it. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be featuring other presenters and activities that are going to be at the Bikes Are Death Takeover. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to register, head over to mulberrygap.com, check out their event section. And of course, you can find that information in the show notes as well. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right. Well, I'd like to close out today's show with a quote that was sent to me by a friend this week. And the quote is actually part of a larger article that was sent to me, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. And the quote is this: "Pay attention. This is your life. You're going to want to know what it feels like." I like that quote. Very simple. And to me, it means sit with the good, sit with the bad. If it's bad, evaluate it and pay attention to it and maybe do something to fix it or course correct. Our life is made up of moments. Pay attention to them. It is your life. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is always a pleasure. Until next time, you know what to do. Go ride your damn bike.
It was the middle of the night. You grabbed your knife and you held it tight. The sounds of beasts kept you awake. The sounds they made kept you afraid. In the morning, you packed your bike. Memories forgotten from the previous night. You rode faster than ever before. Was it your imagination or merely folklore? Fear turned into strength as you pushed further. Every pedal stroke, stronger and firmer. Your bike feels weightless, your legs aren't tired. You think to yourself, just a few more miles. Bikes. Oh, death. Bikes.